as Eli Manning stays on his feet. It is caught by Tyree.
Welcome to Catch the Moment podcast. It's your host, David Tyree. Thank you for joining us for another episode. I'm always excited, man. I hope you can feel the energy. Why? Because it's all about delivering the value, the process, the pain points, the journey. We're trying to give you the dimes to get you where you got to go towards your next moment. And listen, I'll be honest with you. This right here, they kind of getting close to family right now, man. So I want to welcome two of relationships that I've nurtured over the last couple of years. Ray and Lemont from ESG, which is Elite Sports Gaming.
Yes.
Fellas, what's good?
What's up,
good,
Tyree?
bro?
How you doing? What's up,
How you
baby?
been?
Listen, man, this is the moment that we've been all waiting for, man, just to continue to keep this dialogue open. I guess the easiest way for me to break this in is there's a lot of people who actually know who the heck y'all are. Like we'll get out into the to the webosphere, to the YouTubes or whatever. But in relation to Elite Sports Gaming, this is like a lifelong journey. So we're gonna get into some of that. But first, how did you guys meet? And talk to me about just the uniqueness of this relationship that you guys as co-owners of this amazing company.
So, I just have to first say, it's awesome to be in the home of a Super Bowl legend.
We're here, bro.
Crazy because it's crazy. Not right now, it's year 2022, but it just seems like yesterday I was watching that game in college, watched some small TV. You made that catch. Oh, it was like this TV. I'm talking about TV was like as big as that.
Well, don't start. I usually actually start the podcast asking where were you when you saw the helmet catch.
Yeah, I remember.
So
it's
go ahead
like
and
a
leave
flashball a little bit.
I
was in college. Wait, it was just small. So it was in 2008. So in February. So that means I was a sophomore.
Yeah.
And then we're watching the whole game. I was just thinking, oh man, come on, they gotta beat the Giants because I'm even the Pats because the Giants had a chance, which was the last week of the regular season. The final score of that game was all crazy. Patriots did barely win, so you knew just going in, Giants, they had a chance to win. You're watching the game after halftime score was 3-0.
Yeah.
Defense playing crazy. And the last drive, Eli just throws the ball.
The whole game in like 3 minutes, right?
Oh my God.
I know, and it's crazy. But like what a lot of people I feel forget about that is that you scored the first touchdown
I
the
did.
entire game.
The most forgotten touchdown.
I know.
Yep.
So, huge play because the final score was 17-14. So you scored the first touchdown, the first 6 points, and you had that. It has to be the best play in Super Bowl history.
No doubt.
And then as soon as that catch was made, you just knew the Giants were going to win.
There
The
it
Giants
is.
were going to win.
It is.
Yeah, honestly, for me, it was a lot worse than it was for Lemont because I'm a lifelong Giants fan.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like the most torturous, hour that you're going to be in when you're playing against an undefeated team and you're like, you want your team to win. And, most people, they'll go to a bar or they'll go to a big environment, but I only could watch the game at home by myself. Like I didn't want to be around anybody.
You don't want to kill nobody.
My dad and my brothers invited me to be, my dad's place, and I was like, nope, I'm good. I'm gonna watch it by myself. Like I don't want to be around anybody.
Gotcha.
I have all my Giants gear at the time that I would wear and stuff like that. So it was torture for me like the entire game. I remember like certain small things like when Chase Blackburn was on the field still when they had 12 men on the field on a punt.
Yeah.
And I was just like, we needed every single thing to work in our favor. And then for something like that, I was just like, oh my God, like I'm just freaking out the entire time. But I do remember that, if I'm not mistaken, that first touchdown you scored, wasn't it kind of like off of a play action small post that you ran over the middle?
It was.
I feel like I watched so many games. I know like all the calls like East Turbo and East Salad and all this type of stuff. And I'm like, they're about to run this play and then they ran it to you. So like I seen the play a bunch of times already.
Yeah.
But then now, of course, you guys, score for that. So in a lot of ways, yeah, you could make an argument, not only the greatest, play in Super Bowl history, but you can make an argument, MVP status for that game. Score one touchdown, come up with the biggest play of the game. You know what I mean? That's MVP status right there.
Respect, man. Me and Justin Tuck definitely have our own arguments. There was a couple people that could have walked away feeling like they could have been down in Disneyland. That's how amazing of a team effort it was. But it's always dope hearing different people's perspective of the story. I know how intense you get in your passion for football, Ray. So I can imagine you probably needed to be alone in that environment.
I definitely did.
But yeah, man, get back to it, man. Like obviously, you guys have a relationship with each other that is, through the gaming world. So talk to me how this thing kind of materializes and ultimately how you arrive to this amazing relationship that you forged with ESG.
Okay, sure. Yeah, so exactly. So Ray and I actually first met back in 2007.
Okay.
Back then, because we both started playing the games of Madden football when we were young. So I started playing at the age of 4 years old. I think Ray started playing at like 3. So I always wanted to actually play. I would beg my parents, beg them, let me go to tournaments, because you play the covers of Madden and you see the guy who won each year seemed like was a player named Big Gene.
Okay.
Just let me go. It's a long story because I actually got started, but we had time. So I remember I went to my first tournament for Madden 2006.
Okay.
And then, I'm thinking I'm nice. I have the Colts, I'm playing ball, I'm passing the ball, not running the ball, but, I was smart. I'm going to run the ball, chew clock, because the games go by quick in these tournaments.
Wow.
So anyway, I'm in
2-minute quarters
yesterday.
Oh, okay.
2-minute quarters.
I never knew that.
Yeah,
Okay,
and because there's so many people, there are hundreds of people
get y'all
there.
off-
You got to get them all going, and
Exactly.
until you get into the final rounds, then it goes to like 4-minute quarters and stuff like that. But
Got
2-minute quarters to
Exactly.
start.
So I'll never get this. I ran the ball. I formed big, halfback slam, Edger and James all day weak side, right? Just killing them. I get to the 2-yard line.
Yeah.
I get cute trying to throw to Reggie Wayne or something. He picks me off, and I lose that first game. And then I'm thinking, if I ever
This
make
was
it
Ray?
No.
Okay, I got it just in the tournament. Got it.
Wait, this was in Madden 06. I was like, no. So I just want to go and play. So I go to a tournament in Madden 07 the next year. This is when I'm in college. This is a tournament I went to in Chelsea Piers. So I meet Ray. We rap for a few moments. I'm like, okay, cool. It's a nice guy. Pass by. Another year. Now I see Ray. Haven't seen him. Barely know the guy. Oh, you were the same guy that I met in like last year.
Yeah.
It's like, so then I knew when I met him because he takes the game seriously, to go through the grind, to not win but still come back. He's passionate about the game. That's the type of people I wanted to be around as I try to get better as a Madden player.
Yeah.
And I'll leave it to Ray to talk about his performance.
Man.
Get in there, dog.
The
Pretty good
performance
Madden 08,
that will always haunt me. Unlike you, stepping up in the biggest moment, I did not that year. And so when I met Lemont, again, we were just standing next to each other in line, started talking about the game, and immediately when someone kind of knows the inside out of the game.
Yeah.
So we were both talking all the stuff you need to talk to really be like, oh, this guy's serious. But then I played someone who at the time was a serious competitor, but he wasn't. I didn't know at the time, but he wasn't the guy who was gonna win in the finals. But he was the guy that he'll make you pay. If you make one more small mistake, especially when it's 2-minute quarters. So, I ended up playing this guy. Whoever knew the community, his name was Craze the Bum. And that was his name.
That's what he called himself.
That was his name, Craze the Bum.
I need some new nicknames.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need a gamer nickname for sure. And first play of the game, this guy ends up scoring like an 80-yard touchdown against me. And I'm like, oh, okay, like it's going to be like, because that was his whole offense. He had like one-hitters the whole game. So it was a battle. Long story short, I ended up losing in the last play of the game. And naturally, when I see Lemont both times, the first time I lose to Craze, and then the second time I end up playing against someone who was eventually going to be in our crew, and I end up losing to him early on as well. So
It's a lot of L's.
it's a lot of L's. A lot of L's early on. It's a lot of perseverance to go through them L's.
I got you.
Ironically, I just saw this Winston Churchill quote that he was like, success is really just like, being the ability to move from failure to failure without, something to like deter you essentially. And
I like it.
so that was exactly me in my early Madden career. But I stuck with it. And the thing is that Lemont knew, like he said before, he wanted to be around people that was, that were going to essentially live this. And a crew was formed with 3 guys, including Lemont. He called out, he reached out to me asking. I really had done nothing to deserve this like I didn't do a single thing to deserve this invite. But once they did give me a chance, I knew that I was like, my mindset was, I'm going to be the hardest worker here.
Yeah.
I'm going to prove them right for believing in me. And next thing you know, things really, really worked out for all of us.
Exactly.
So
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, so y'all meet there. Obviously, I kind of see how, the dynamic of the crew. I know some of y'all's story in relation to that's how you really get better now. Now, just so folks know, I have zero idea. No Madden. I only bought one Madden game, and that was the game where I was featured with the helmet catch. I was like, I got to see how this works. And I still wasn't able to make my own helmet catch. That's how sorry I was.
That's excellent.
All right, so this thing begins to bubble through. You eventually become
I do some big things. Yeah. So basically, we formed this crew, and mind you, I haven't done anything, but I'm working my tail off. And then, our first underground tournament that I've never gone to, like an underground tournament of this stature.
In Jersey too.
Yep.
Of course.
Jersey was like literally, I think it was probably like the place. Like it was the state to have the best tournaments in the world.
North Jersey and Philadelphia.
Yeah, exactly.
Listen, we always at the bottom of something. Jersey is always at the foundation, the roots of something.
I mean, Cali, of course, does its own thing, but I would honestly say Philly and Jersey, if you're a competitive Madden player, those are the two places.
Those
Philly,
are some of the hubs.
That's where you make your name.
That's
Philly
dope.
and Jersey.
That's dope.
So we go there, and it's our first tournament ever as a crew, and no one knows us. No one knows us individually. No one knows us as a group.
Just random players.
Yeah, just completely randoms. And in my first round robin, and so again, it's not like the Madden Challenge anymore. Now you have round robins, right? So you're guaranteed some games. And the Madden Challenge is single elimination. You lose, you're out.
Got it.
So in the first round robin, I have two people I've never heard of in my life, and then there's this one guy in my round robin that he's a Madden champion. He's a champion. His name is Brusque, and he's from Jersey, right? And this guy has won tournament after tournament, made a ton of money. He's completely feared in the space. You know what I mean? And so I'm thinking in my mind, okay, if I just beat these other two guys, then I could lose to Brusque and still make it into the next round. But I end up playing Brusque. Everyone's like, oh, you just got some random, right? And essentially, I end up beating him decisively.
It was a crazy game. People watch this game. Everybody is around the TV set is watching. And this was actually my first time actually watching Ray play. You know, because I'm very confident in my skills as a Madden player, but one of my biggest weaknesses, because as I said earlier, Colts, so my defense. my defense, boy.
Colts was an offensive savant.
I will keep up, boy. 40
hey, listen,
40.
It was anemic out there. Bob Sanders was hurt.
Exactly. You understand? Yeah.
Oh, man.
So, the first time watching him play, and I was like, man, this guy pretty good. This guy can ball a little bit.
That's dope.
Yeah, man.
That's dope.
So
you slayed the man in the arena.
I did.
Tom Brady
Twice.
style,
What made it worse is that after I advanced, they put me against them in the playoffs later on, and I was just luck of the draw. So now everyone was just like, don't take him light. But now you're gonna embarrass this kid because he beat you in the first round, and now it's you're that guy, you're the best. So now it's time to say embarrass him. You know what I mean? So I played him again and I beat him again, and at that point everyone's like, okay, wait a second. So so long story short, things went well within the space. As a gamer, I ended up ultimately just continuing to make my name. Lemont offensively continued to make his name because again, defensively he wasn't there. But and then not too long after that, I was very fortunate to sign a professional deal where I was now paid to travel around the country.
Paid to play. So this is a complete phenomenon to me. I know it's been going on for decades now. Obviously, I had to kind of ask this question because I'm raising kids now, and everybody's streaming. Everybody's esports is the deal, right?
Yes.
And we get into so many. How do y'all feel with like these emerging generations, the healthy side of it, the unhealthy side of it? I know y'all are creating an amazing product. We're gonna get into that, but like I think y'all came in. I feel like y'all came in at the right time to have, I guess, a sound mind, but also
exactly, yeah. So it's kind of funny you actually say that because everybody's talking about the addiction of gaming, and people seem to be like gamers. So it was these same themes and tones, even though when we were young. Okay. So in terms of whatever you do in life, whether it's you watching TV or playing the games or hanging out with your friends, I believe everything has to be done in moderation, as long as it's a healthy amount. And it's up to that person and the person's parents to actually determine how much is a healthy amount. I know with my own parents, the rule was, because they knew I was crazy, they knew I would play forever. So they said, you can only play Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Okay. So I was able to get all my work done for school, but I was able to do Friday, Saturday, Sunday, just get it all out my system, and that was good. And I was able to graduate from high school, college, and
he was a binge gamer.
Weekends all.
Though I will have to say, the whole in what my parents did though is that I was allowed to watch TV Monday through Friday whenever, but couldn't play the games. So instead of playing the games, I just watched TV. So I feel like
that's a variety. You had a few options.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so that's dope.
So for me though, I would say that the problem was that it was the opposite for me, where my dad was my introduction to games because my dad had me so young that he was a kid himself. He was 18 when he had me.
So he's like raising you up on the sticks.
Yeah, exactly. So Tecmo Super Bowl is the first game I ever played. We're going at it. And the thing was, for me, is that my parents didn't have like any regulation on me playing games. They never saw it as unhealthy as long as A, I was doing what I needed to do in school, and which half the time I wasn't. And then B, I was always the kid to be outside playing sports anyway. So they never saw it as like you're not.
There
outside.
Were areas that actually created some balance.
Exactly.
You weren't completely unbalanced.
Yeah, I was very balanced, just could have did better in school, but definitely very, very balanced within my life in general. So
yeah, I mean, like, trust me, I got some, that's a different conversation. I want you, want you guys to get into it. So I know I'll fast forward the deal. You eventually become that dude, Ray. Yeah. Your crew eventually is y'all gain respect.
Yes. Exactly. So I end up becoming the ranked as high as number one in the world. It is what it is. Say what it is.
Number one overall Madden player in the world.
So that was 2009 to 2010. Exactly. Sounds like a long time ago now.
So here's what I've come to appreciate, because I've been in like the quote unquote humble route.
Yeah.
And I just watched Kanye West Genius documentary, and we know how crazy, but he actually makes sense a good amount of time. Meaning like, he's like, if you say that you're the best or I'm the greatest at something, you're immediately pegged as arrogant.
Yep.
Right? But you actually have a data point to say, I'm at least for a year, minimally, I'm the best in the world.
Yes.
And for me, it took me a long time to say I got the greatest moment in Super Bowl history, hands down. Right now, it's still arguable. Right?
No, it's not arguable.
But it's not really.
Because it's not, because you said the greatest moment.
Yeah.
Like, you could argue plays. Remember next year when James Harrison, 100-yard.
Bro.
That was, that
those
was
back-to-back Super Bowls were crazy,
That was a crazy play, but that play didn't really define the game.
There you go.
It didn't define the game. So in terms of the moment, no, it's obviously yours.
Yeah,
bro.
Because you can go back to Harrison's play and you can say like, okay, like definitely a defining moment.
Oh, sure.
We can go back to it. But
Santonio Holmes.
Exactly. Yeah. But I always say this about that play, and again, give credit where credit's due, but that play to me was arguably the greatest play of all time. If half of the equation on either end were cut out, if Eli just did what he did, it would be, in my opinion, the greatest play in Super Bowl history. Sure. If you did what you did, it would be arguably the greatest play of Super Bowl history. So when you put both together, it's like, it's not even an argument.
To be the undefeated team, right?
Yeah, I know.
That's kind of what I tell people. I say, y'all really serious about this? Like, I'm like, the circumstance will probably rarely ever happen again. Like, so 100% bars, man. So y'all climb the top of the mountain as a group, as individuals. But like I said, y'all are young, mid-30s, somewhere around there. Y'all shifted, bro. Like, so it's, so tell me, like, this is evolving and eventually getting us to where we are, where we learn a little bit more about what ESG is doing. But how did y'all pivot to becoming the producer versus the consumer or talent?
Well, you'd have to take a step back, and you'd have to give all the credit to Lemont. So, so Lemont and I have completely different backgrounds, everything. But when we were doing so well in gaming, it was Lemont that wanted to up the ante and say, let's actually start a business doing this, right? So this was, again, going back to like 2011, and Lemont and I had gone to so many tournaments where people were making so much money hosting these tournaments that Lemont came to me and said, hey, we should host these tournaments. We should do something to get into this space. We know this space so well. We had another friend, however, who had just done that, Drama, and that was his name, right? So he had done this, and there was good money in it, but it was just like a lot of hassle. Any leg, all that legwork you got to do, traveling all that, equipment
setting it
around,
up, bringing it down. I'm sure you noticed that. This stuff.
Man, it's a lot of work. So for me, I was just like, look, that's not enough for me to want to do this, and I don't know anything about running a business in the first place. Lemont had to say, hey, I know some stuff about that. I didn't know how much he knew about it, but at the first he knew some stuff about it, and we got the ball rolling at that time in 2011. At that moment, everything we just caught fire with everything, because we ended up coming up with different ways to be resourceful, to make sure that my thing is that we never had a good budget. Ever. So, and everything that we've ever done, we've always had to say, and we've kind of embodied this, how are we going to become successful with $0? And that's what we had to learn from 2011 and take that all the way up to this point.
So this is the starter kit right here, bro. Like, everybody has to start somewhere, right?
Yes.
Exactly.
All right, so part of the reason, and I'll come and share, I'm a partner in ESG. So the number one reason, I don't think that I have zero resourcefulness, but the most attractive quality in a partner for me is resourcefulness. Who can do more with less? And it's not always required, right? It's more fun to do more with more.
That's true. That is true.
The most efficient people, the most creative, where the ingenuity comes in, where you find the problem solving, which is really the essence of business.
Yes.
Right. Basically solving a problem, providing solutions. So, man, give me some more.
So to me, it became a game. because so I'm just breaking you down low key, like some of the stuff that we had to do, and why it became something that now all of a sudden really helped in terms of that resourcefulness.
Sure.
So let's look at the first business that we ever ran together, right? This was the tournaments, right? So at the time I'm thinking, okay, so how are we going to do this? How does the rest of the world do this? Well, they host these tournaments, and then the best players in the world go to these tournaments. When someone new comes into this space, they have no business belonging there. They get beat like you wouldn't believe, and they never go back, right? So I was saying, instead of doing this to like 0.01% of the demographic, let's do this only for like colleges. So the average person can play, and there's much more of that than there is the 50 guys that are just, absolutely dominant in the space. So we did that, but to make people aware of that, what we wanted to do was, again, we had no way to get in front of these college kids, and there was like no social. There was Facebook.
Facebook.
That like you had to be friends with people to talk to them. So we had to, how are we going to get in front of these people? So one thing we did was we went to places around these colleges and basically incentivized them. And all of a sudden, an entire new business grew out of this. We incentivized these businesses to give massive discounts to these college kids if these college kids had even just gone to our tournament, right? And I know it sounds crazy, but essentially what was created was, for going to our tournament, you'd get certain like wristbands and things like that. And if you had those things, now when you go to these establishments around, you get like 75% off discounts.
I gotta say one thing. Shout out to our former business partner, Damon. So owes me a little money. I still have them. I still have the wristbands.
No, but yeah. So basically, what ended up happening was this: in an attempt to get more incentive, like incentivize the gamer to come to our tournaments more, we ended up falling into a secondary business where we were able to get brands like Blimpies and Subway, all the way up to McDonald's, all the way to like mom and pop shops, to glasses, like sunglasses place, to get like 70% off. It became like essentially Groupons before Groupons was ever a thing. And the way we did this was, we helped the establishment understand at that time, not today, but at that time, the importance of like Facebook check-ins. If a kid was to say, hey, I'm at this place and I'm getting this type of deal to his demographic, it was much more impactful than just like a random ad. So I'm saying, if you're gonna pay for this ad space anyway, you might as well have this kid talk to his actual friend group, as opposed to just like a random ad in the paper, if you're gonna have that allocated in your budget. And we were able to do that. And once I was able to like dive into the psychology of the sale, that was it for us. So we just kept doing it.
Psychology of the sale.
Exactly.
How the hell y'all figured this out in 2012, 2013?
Yeah, man, it's crazy.
Bro, y'all was digging in, man. All right, so y'all, like I said, y'all are where you're at. You're creative. All right, so talk to me a little bit about what ESG is. I'm gonna fast forward what it is, what you're creating, and what you're most excited about to deliver. Okay,
so with that being said, in terms of what ESG is, I am, a professional gamer of 15 years. Lemont is as well. Lemont is also a YouTuber with, about 150 million views on to his name.
And half of Madden football and NBA 2K basketball.
Exactly. Partner with NBA.
ESPN, all the goods.
Dude's resume, dude's bigger than me on the internet.
So
you're a beast mode.
Yeah. So with that being said, for us, what we learned in the space was a ton about gaming, a ton about testing, a ton about the relationships that you establish as a brand influencer and as an influencer yourself. So with that being said, we really understood the benefits, but at the same time, where gamers had little recourse, or where influencers had little recourse. So what ESG is essentially, it's a football video game that will come out for Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. But at the same time, the main purpose of the brand is also at the same time of having fun and creativity within the video game of playing football, you're also establishing greater recourse for gaming content creators, gamers in general. Because as we had mentioned before, you asked the question saying like, what, there's a fine line between like your children playing this game and not getting much out of it, and are they able to, when is it becoming addictive? When is it becoming a detriment? But I've always explained that when gamers in our day played, the only benefit that you could have is maybe you turn pro, and very little people were pro. But now you can become a content creator, which means that you learn about directing, you learn about editing, you learn about how to do commentary in terms of the fact of having a voice and being a caster. So there's so many different intrinsic values that come with it that we try to now draw that into the actual game as well.
That's dope. All right, so what's the differentiator? Now we know that Madden is on the king of the mountain in relation to the NFL community. They have exclusive rights. What's the thought process, and explain to the audience, catch the moment, how this is going to catch, how y'all going to catch this moment in light of the fact that there's a giant in the land.
Yeah, so I think really what it comes down to is from our standpoint, we will be the first ever 11 versus 11 and 7 versus 7 game in the space. Meaning, if anyone watching this or listening to this has ever played a game like NBA 2K has the neighborhood mode, the gamer represents themselves in their own personalized likeness, increasing their character day in and day out. Essentially, you have that grind of your character day in and day out. That juxtaposed with Madden, you're playing. If I were to play you right now in Madden, there's 22 players on the field, but it's really just 1 versus 1. Okay, so it's like chess at that point where you're orchestrating all of your pieces and they're all orchestrating all of theirs. Here, you're your own character. You're playing in your own space, and we then establish this world that you're in. This open world environment or metaverse, whatever you'd like to call it.
Sure.
And this gamer then has a plethora of things to do in this environment as they create this character and as they build up that character day in and day out.
As I understood it, it's like the merger of a bunch of like really successful major concepts. So the Fortnite of the world has Transcendence, has the NBA 2K where the uniqueness of putting yourself in the game. Listen, everybody, who doesn't want to play themselves? I remember the first time where you like track and field back in the day in Nintendo, where it's like, this is me.
Yep.
However fast I'm going on these 2 buttons,
exactly.
it's representing me.
Yeah,
so I totally get that in that space. But then it also it brings in that true sports competitive element that is always going to be true. But like you said, 11 on 11. So I'm sure you guys get it.
Yeah.
This is the first question I know y'all get. I know y'all got it from me. Who wants to play offensive line, bro?
Okay. Surprised. Tons of people will.
Tons of people go to play.
And let's break that down, because I know a lot of people listening to it like, that's cap. That's cap. We ain't gonna listen. No. But here's why. Okay. So there's 2 reasons. I'm gonna give you the short answer first.
Yeah.
The easily digestible answer here.
It's all good.
If someone does not, there's always AI. Okay, so if someone quits ever in a video game or someone ever never loads into it, there's always a bot or AI at worst case scenario. And at the worst case scenario, someone can always play the game and have 5 skilled players out there, and the AI take over all that stuff in terms of the offensive and defensive line. The second thing is this, however, if anyone's ever played a game like a shooting game or those fantasy games, me personally, those games are multi-people environments as well, right?
Sure.
They're online environments. And me personally, I can't shoot worth a lick. So I have to be like the medic or something like that. I'm the guy helping the team that can't really be the guy. You know what I mean? I'm not the guy.
I got you.
So there's always roles in these spaces. And what we did in our game is, using gamification and strategy, we're able to understand that there are different roles. Let's say if you were playing a fighting game. In a fighting game like Mortal Kombat, there are certain characters that are really, really good close up or really, really good far away. There's a lot of pros and cons. Well, in this offensive line aspect, when you're going against someone, in Madden, you just mash the X button. Whereas in our game, the configurations of buttons, it's almost like a Street Fighter or a Mortal Kombat where you are not, again, you're not clotheslining or kicking the guy.
Not a little Ryukin, but you got some configurations.
Whether it's a rip move or a swim move, whether you're refitting your hands the appropriate way, everything you're doing for a football component, you're now proving that you're better than this guy. You know everything he's gonna do, and you're now whooping his tail because of everything in the button. So at that moment, here's the problem. In football, and you could attest to this, as a wide receiver, you have a 1 in 5 chance of even touching the rock, right? They 100%. Run the ball, you got to block now. You know what I mean? It is what it is. So you're not always going to touch the ball. It's where you can help the team move down the field, play in and play out. And here, as your character does what they need to do, they get better and better and better with every single rep. So if you're dominating someone like Larry Allen was, you know what I mean? Like, you're really going to show that because you're a better gamer than the other person.
This is so dope. So this is really like the chess of the gaming space. I mean, like, there's actually real layers involved. And I think some people like simplicity. Some people are going to, lean in the gaming world. Everybody's leaning in these days, right? I got to ask you the obvious question. Is the question I asked you even when I was asking about this game that you guys are delivering. Offensive line. Who wants to play offensive line? You're talking about 11 on 11. And so, I know you got to take a moment to take us through this process, because it is a differentiator, hands down.
Yeah.
But, what makes that an attractive approach?
Well, again, I think the quick answer for it is that the AI always falls back into the opportunity to play the offensive line, right?
Okay.
So if the gamer doesn't want to do it, the AI is there. Even though it is up to 7 versus 7 or up to 11 versus 11, you don't have to play that. But then the secondary thing is this. If you look at a game like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat, it's a one-on-one battle. And
most popular arcade game of all time.
Of course.
Bars.
And when you beat someone in Street Fighter 1 versus 1, you're exacting your will, you're anticipating what they're going to do. There's all these different things that really just dive you into that space. Well, that's exactly what the offensive line versus the defensive line is right now. If you're going against Aaron Donald and you're, a dominant offensive lineman, it's a battle 1 versus 1. So gamification wise, the buttons that we actually have is not a bunch of mashing the X button. It is like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat where there's actual sophistication in their
configuration.
Buttons. Exactly. And then there's no, clotheslining or kicking or get over here, but it's all, swim move, rip moves, things like that, and then cutting them, pancakes, stuff like that, and when you do that, it's when you beat the heck out of somebody because the buttons are dictating it. It's not much different than if a gamer plays Fortnite today and you're building, right? And if all the building that you do in Fortnite, it's when you beat someone, it's because you were just better than them. So there's no chance involved here. It's if you're better, you're better, and I think that's where people are going to say, look, I may not get the ball every single play, but I'm whooping your tail every single play, and my character's getting better.
That is fantastic. So you actually, like I said, of course, there's always the overall victory in relation to the team. But every consumer of the game gets a chance to win and be a champion every play.
Exactly. Because in games, whether the virtual sense or also in like real life, there's always a game within the game. So there's always terms of I'm going to get this guy. So when talking about when people are on the offensive line, oh, you got me this play, but I'm going to go and get back at you. Various moves and various styles. And also the beauty about our games is that you actually play both ways. So people that want to purely play within the lineman will be able to play in the offensive line, and then also on the defensive line and running the offensive line, the DN that they are going against maybe the left tackle. So they're going back times two.
Time to get them back.
That's what I'm saying.
And look at you real quick. I mean, right now, if you guys are kicking off to Devin Hester, everyone's eyes on the punt is on Devin Hester, right? But at the same time, you have a game within the game as a gunner.
Oh, man.
Right? So now you got to split two guys, get down the field.
He's scoring today.
Exactly. So everyone has their job, and that's the biggest thing. So in football, there's just that's the greatest example of everyone having their job to do. So even though we as the fans look at one side because we look at who's going to catch the ball and try to score, there's another guy doing his job, and that's where playing at the unpopular positions are. And we don't think that they will be unpopular because you still have a job to do.
Bro, all right, so you guys are it's fascinating hearing all of these things, but there's so many actually real life lessons that are actually found within this. Whenever you're in a company, there's a job to execute. So there's a game within a game. Within each department, there's a mission, a goal, an objective. And I think it's always important to extract these real life moments out of games because that's what actually people love about games. When you can gamify your life, when you can create a sense of victory within your life, then you can actually apply this. So you guys obviously have a dynamic pedigree. So technically, Ray, by trade, you probably would call yourself a developer by trade at this point. Or,
So
you're a full blown boss. Exactly. But in Lemont, lawyer.
Yes, lawyer. Went to law.
So I had to kind of highlight that because you guys y'all some grown men about your life too. You didn't just kind of have a bunch of money and come up with a great idea and put it together and slap these titles on. Y'all kind of work within the scope of your company. Talk about your mental pedigree and your approach and how you guys are leading the way in the space.
Okay, sure. We'll say actually my path to being law is actually, I guess the one story I have is not really gaming related. I don't know, for some reason, ever since the age of 7, I just always wanted to be a lawyer. So my whole career track in terms of the education that I wanted to actually do was geared towards that track. I went to Hofstra, I was history and philosophy major there, and after that, graduated in 2010 and went straight through to law school, graduated there in 2013. So I knew I was going to be a lawyer, but I never knew what type of law I actually wanted to actually practice.
Got it.
So then, remember when Ray was telling me about a story that we, the first business we started back in 2011. So I knew that I wanted to get involved in some types of business. So I concentrated in terms of my concentration in law on as many corporate law classes as possible. So from that, I was able to build in terms of the business acumen from the law end to see what the rules are, to see, all of that type of stuff, so that when I wanted to enter the business world, I would have that type of background. And then from there, just off to the races after graduation.
Bro, so you out here pursue your passion through the teenage years, but you never lost sight of the big vision in relation to, let me anchor down something that's actually going to hold me down wherever I go.
Yep.
And Ray, obviously, was a little bit different. Like I said, you found your space, but then how'd you get into the being a developer?
Yeah. So for me, everything I think all came from gaming. It's crazy enough, whether it was directly or just a blessing that came from everything that happened. Because once I became, number one, and once I kind of, I've been an athlete my entire life.
Yep.
But I think one of the things that happened within gaming that never happened for me as an athlete was, as an athlete, I never went against the best in the world, right? Because I was never a professional player. I never went against the guy, right?
Yeah.
So as a professional gamer, I went against the best in the world. And what that did was it showed me, if you're prepped and you know that you belong here and you do everything you're supposed to do, like, you could really, really excel. So after that, I went to, try to get into a coding school that I essentially had like only a 6% acceptance rate. I felt like I had a very small chance, obviously, to get into there.
Okay.
And the reason that I was actually, they told me afterwards, the reason I was actually accepted was not because I went to Harvard or Yale like the rest of my classmates, because I certainly did not.
Sure.
It was because I reversed engineer games better than any else in the world, hence, being a professional gamer. So they wanted to give me a shot, saying, look, this is what you did from the gaming side of things. Can you now do this as a developer? So,
right. So when you say reverse engineer, is that like, you use this term, breaking the game?
Yeah.
Is that kind of what they recognize
exactly
in your resume?
Exactly. So the way that works is, when you're a developer, you develop these things, whatever the process is. But let's just say something that we all might understand, something like Facebook.
Sure.
You press a button, it's supposed to respond a certain way. Cool. And if it doesn't, maybe it's like a little bit of a bug or a glitch. Well, when you make a game, that's our job as gamers, is to kind of find where the developer made a mistake. And it works the way they thought it works until we exploit it now, right? So an example maybe for
exploit your weaknesses.
Yeah. So I'll give you an example maybe from a sports head perspective. Look at Peyton Manning and how much he hated Bill Belichick's teams bumping after 5, right? It's like bumping is illegal, but it wasn't necessarily called, and now all of a sudden you're gonna bump 10 yards down on a post route and mess up all the timing. So they essentially found this bug that now the teams, the referees had to now say, we gotta patch this, we gotta fix this, because Peyton's out here complaining a little bit too much about it. So that's what I was able to do from a gaming perspective, to say, hey, I can find some things that you guys are doing that I'm going to exploit. And then with that being said, that's how I got into coding school. Okay. And then from there on, that's how we were able to just say, okay, I know the developing side, the legal side of things. Let's see how far we could actually take this.
This is dope, because, what I see actually is, it's kind of like you guys have a great story. I mean, like, hey, I'm 42, I'm still young. You guys are younger than me, but you kind of marry passion with healthy foundation. Meaning, like, there was not a sense of disillusionment that we find, and amongst some of the emerging, and I think everybody's having their own challenge. Like my own, as a young man, I had my own challenges where I was dumb and disillusional too. But I think it's a lot more opportunities for it, because everybody's kind of creating their own narrative on the internet and social, et cetera. So it's very interesting to me how you guys arrive at these conclusions and find a sense of stability. My question is, what has been the hardest part? Now that you have investors, partners, you're experiencing relationships, probably in some ecosystems that you might not rather be in, or maybe what's been the most difficult point of ESG arriving where you are today?
Jeez, touch upon that first.
I'd probably say the hardest part would probably be just staying patient with the whole process. Because we already have envisioned from day one what the game is going to be, how all the parts are going to come together. I mean, I honestly know when we talk to people that aren't within the whole space and the spaces that we're in, to tell them the vision that we have. But even once everybody is on board, we still have to make the game, And then that's one thing where I have to be patient, because with my background in law, I'm not on the keyboard doing stuff. So I know the guys on the keyboard, the coders, the developers we have on board are doing their thing. But because I don't have that skill set, it kind of makes me feel a little bit impatient with the whole process. We have to take a step back, because there's only so many facets where I can help the business. I can help in a variety of ways, but when it comes down to actually, let's have the wide receiver line up like this, like I can't do that because I don't know how. So, just staying patient, but very excited. It's been a long journey. The game's coming out this fall, so it's going to be nice. Yeah.
So patience. So what's your biggest pain point, Ray?
So I think tied to that patience aspect, because the thing is that we have a good understanding of every single thing that we do every day, and we of course want it done yesterday. But then of course there are other people who don't know outside their role who say like, well, why isn't this being done faster potentially? And it could be from anywhere.
Sure.
So let's just say particularly like, I have a development team, right? And then I have a legal team, and then I have an accounting team. I have a artwork team. I have an animations team.
Sure.
I have a mocap team, right? So there are guys who are literally getting hit repeatedly in football equipment.
Just yesterday, we were doing some motion capture, the like pancake blocks.
Yeah, doing pancake blocks, getting hit repeatedly over and over and over again.
He's trying to get me to do some mocap. Listen, I don't know. It sounded less desirable than I wanted to go, but listen, I'm still listening.
And what makes it even worse is, again, I'm not really selling you here to do it, but now you'd have to do these hits over and over and over again. So it's like it's just repeated, and then at the same time, then you have investors who are certainly excited about it,
sure.
but then they're like, when's it going to be all done? You know what I mean? And the gamer's like, when's it going to be all done? And everyone kind of like, it's easy to look at your own dynamic. Sure. And then as the two guys that everyone kind of looks to, myself, Lemont, and we have one other person, our CTO, that everyone kind of looks to, we know there's a lot of things that we're putting together. So to do it right, it doesn't happen yesterday. It takes time, and trust me, we're the ones who want that to be done the fastest, just out of love for what we do.
No doubt.
But that's like the headache a bit.
No, that's real, because I tell people this reality. I'm trying to paint the right picture for anything that's going to be significant, meaningful, or extremely valuable. It's going to take time, but it's also going to take that sense of vision as well as collaboration. Meaning, like, what that actually takes from an emotional standpoint is way deeper than most of it. Like, and it's not like compromising your values. It's the flexibility and understanding that it takes to really maximize the relationships that you have to bring this amazing vision to fruition.
Exactly.
Bro,
very well said.
Y'all are killing the game. So y'all are out here educating us to esports. This was like a super deep dive. This ain't no 101, because we over here talking mocap. Which is motion capture.
Yep.
So what, I want you to paint the picture. What should people expect from this drop? And tell, give the goods in relation to this community, and what everybody should expect from this game.
Well, I think, the first thing is that in terms of what they should expect from us is, I personally put in 85-hour weeks. We work every single day at this, and it's asking a lot as an individual, but at the same time, it's not when you love what you do, right? So it's like I take the same approach that I took to gaming, and I love what I do. I love putting the hard work in. It makes it hard to bounce around and do a million things, but that's what you do. So, so from that standpoint, that's what we bring to the table. But then when it comes to every single thing that a game brings to the table, you're going to have those growing pains, right? So for us, I think the first thing that one should expect is that, our game was looking to release in the fall of this year, right? And in that being said,
get ready, y'all, get ready.
Now, naturally, we'll be competing against a juggernaut that has been doing this for 30 years. So we'll be very strategic and tactful about how.
I'm kind of excited about it.
Exactly.
I'm kind of excited about
as a competition. As a person who had to go against undefeated, teams and going against something that was going to be impossible, you should know about that.
Oh, listen, bro. Like I said, number one, there's room. You guys have created a unique space, not just in the gaming world, but in the sports gaming world. Madden has the exclusive deal with the NFL. There's no competition in the space. You guys saw an opportunity, a little bit of a white space, but you're filling it creatively and in a way where there's transcendent opportunity for the gamer, the consumers, the streamers, and it's really, really dope. So, like I said, we've already talked about some of the differentiators: 7-on-7, 11-on-11. Still got premium AI, mocap. As you're coming down, let's say coming around the final turn, because here we are as we get this pod out, it's gonna be close to game time theoretically, like I said, pending another war in Ukraine or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So like I said, what's the what's just last second on what's the most exciting thing for you guys as you're getting to market, and what's the sky's the limit vision when you think about where ESG is going?
Okay, well, most exciting thing, I have this joke I always tell people in terms of the game, because I ask people what's their build going to actually be, because I think I have the best build, because as I said earlier, in terms of you play both ways. So as I said earlier, an offensive guy. Peyton Manning was my favorite player.
Don't give away your build.
Don't give him too much.
Just real quick, just to give an example of a build, right? So, as a receiver, are you that guy who has blazing speed? Are you that guy who has great hands? Are you that guy who can, spec catch and dive and catch a ball?
Sadly, I was none of that.
so are you a great blocker? So there's different, skill sets that you have to bring to your character.
No doubt.
And then there's degrees of how many things you allocate to that skill set. Are you 1 speed, 2 speed, 3 speed?
Exactly.
So 3 speed will unlock X, while 1 speed will unlock, only an 85 speed. So that's what Lamont's talking about. You can continue your point.
So you have to go ahead and figure out what type of character you're going to be. And in terms of what I see ESG becoming, I'm very excited because, the game don't just stop here. We're not just doing football.
Talk, Joyner.
Listen, football game for you, whatever. We got soccer coming out.
Y'all create competition everywhere.
Games.
You guys are the ultimate competitors. Like I said, I'm excited in full transparency to be a partner in this. I think that any athlete, any competitor, and any business person would miss an opportunity to not try to figure out more about what ESG is. But ultimately, you guys have really caught your moment. You've maximized it, and right now is really the floor. The ceiling is up to the heavens, man. I want to thank y'all for stopping in.
Yes, sir.
Shooting y'all shot and catch the moment. Listen, I hope y'all got every pearl of wisdom from Ray and Lemont. Make sure you're subscribing, sharing, because listen, Catch the Moment is trying to get you where you want to go. Esports to real sports to the marketplace. Let's continue to get great.